Hello, Rob Watson here in Leicester for Leicester Stories, and sorry, I've still got my headphones in, I'll take them out. And I just want to share some thoughts on some work that we've been doing about the Smart City, Leicester Smart City, for the Alan Turing Institute, De Montfort University and Leicester Stories. And what we're doing is we're training our community reporters to think about and talk about how we use data and how we interact with the world with the help of technology and with the help of digital systems and apps and platforms, and what it's kind of meaning in practice. And what I wanted to do was just share some thoughts about how an experience I had the other day helped me to, when I sat down and thought about it and travelled, if you like, went back over the experience and travelled through it again, how that fits with the way that we use data. And I went for an optician's appointment the other day. I'd been sent reminders for months to get in touch and make do an eye test. It'd been a while since my last one, and so I kind of finally got sat down, read through the letter, the numerous letters that I just stacked in a pile on my desk, and then I booked an appointment online and found that there was an appointment the next morning. So this was Wednesday evening, and Thursday morning, 8:50, I was in my optician's getting my eye test. And it's kind of the journey through that was quite interesting to reflect back on about how that process worked and where the use of digital technology came in and had an impact, and the way that AI, so artificial intelligence, what's called artificial intelligence, was kind of machine learning, connection with databases, interruption of networks. I know these are the things that create a smart environment where data is exchanged. So, so I got the letter. I'd probably had email reminders which I'd ignored because I'm on the email list. And then I managed to book an appointment, as I say. That was then confirmed with me by SMS message and by email. So I added that automatically to my calendar. I clicked on a link that they give to do that, and then so that got put into my calendar. The message that I got also had a digital map, and the time and location of the. Sorry, I'm going to put my sunglasses on because the sun just came out now. So the map was present. So I got up the next morning, set my alarm. Didn't do that automatically. I don't have a smart speaker, so I wasn't able to shout at that to set the alarm time. And then what did I do next? So I got showered, got dressed, had some breakfast, left the house and walked into town. It's not a long distance, but I went from my home Wi-Fi onto my 5G network. Had I not known the route, I probably would have consulted Google Maps, and that would have told me, and I've double checked this, that it takes 27 minutes to walk, something like 8 or 9 minutes to cycle or to get a taxi. And I could have done that, and if I wanted to get the bus, I could have just clicked on the bus information and I'd have been advised when the next bus was. This is all through Google Maps. So there was, kind of a clear idea of what route I would take, and this was all done on my smartphone. And so what did I do then? So I walked into town and I was listening to a podcast as I was walking, and I think I took a phone call as well. So I was kind of learning and having a conversation not at the same time, but as I undertook my journey. The hardest thing was actually when I got into the city centre, I needed to go to the loo and actually finding a public toilet. Maybe there should be kind of more readily available public information about where and when public conveniences are available, and when you get to a certain age, it's something that becomes more urgent on occasions. Anyway, I didn't want to sit through my appointment feeling uncomfortable, should we say. So then I went to the opticians and I checked in at the desk, and they logged into their computer and verified that I was appointed. They did a little bit of basic identification and a little bit of basic double checking, and then I was waited for a couple of minutes before I went into the pre-check area, where they have a room full of devices that they use to check your eye pressure, and they take a photograph. And they did this is all done automatically. It's like you're asked to sit, you put your head in the brace and your chin, and then the machine automatically finds where your eye is and your iris, and it adjusts itself to to get the best image out of your physical eye shape. Similar with the photograph as well, that was done automatically. And then shortly after that, after another short wait, I had my consultation with the optician, who drew the data up on their computer to see. What was interesting with that was actually she wrote down a lot of the information on a printed sheet. There must be a standard template for that they've used for years, and little variation, and then she entered some details onto the computer, so it didn't directly go into a computer, or it wasn't spoken into a computer, but so that's the kind of a manual part of the chain. And sometimes there's good reason for keeping things like that, because it means you have the time to double check rather than just entering data in. But the check itself, where you're reading the letters on the board, and you're looking at the dots that they give you. This was done in the past. It had been done with kind of mechanical devices, where the ophthalmist is putting the different lenses into those kind of glasses that they used to give people. Now it's a device that does all of this automatically at the push of a button. It's very fast and it's very efficient in the way that it does it. So the whole process probably took no more than 3/4 of an hour, I think. I think that was a reasonable amount of time. When I finished the consultation, I had to ask a question. I needed some more fluid for my contact lenses. So we sorted that out at the desk, and I was given a printed copy of my prescription. I'm going to go back at some point and choose some glasses. So just watching what's happened with the... It's quite, shall we say, it's an energetic day here in Leicester today, with a lot of people about. So the whole thing was kind of like, I'd logged on, because in the opticians, the 4G signal dies. You can't get anything to receive your data signal, but they've got free Wi-Fi, so you can get onto that anyway. So, one of the things that it kind of rose some questions about in my mind was really about things like that data journey, and you're transitioning from one mode of data access to another, whereby you go from private network to a public network. I have a VPN on my phone, so I hope I protect my data a little bit more, and I have an Apple phone, and I upgrade to all of the latest, as much of the security features as I can, so that there's less tracking and cookies and things like that. But the transition from one network to another I've had some problems in the past where the modem has failed to switch from Wi-Fi onto the public 5G. But the updates, so you've got to keep an eye on your updates. That worked quite well. Then there's things like the data and information that's kept about you, in terms of the personal information and the public information that you're sharing, and where that is used and how that is used, and how that is across different public data sets. So one of the challenges is how to ensure that when you go from one digital part of the network domain onto another, that you've got the same protection of your information and security across those networks. And you start from the assumption that all data networks are unsafe, and therefore you have to take a certain amount of personal responsibility. But even within Boots, the opticians, I wasn't going to mention who, they have sorry, there's a guy behind I think he's preaching, but he's quite loud. So anyway, the information that they were entering into the shield. They have those guarded gauze screens so that you can't see in obliquely what's being entered into the screen. So there's a little bit of data protection there. Password. I mean, it was interesting. There was one of the computers. There was a password that the assistant needed, and it was actually printed and sellotaped onto the keyboard. So it was kind of like defeats the object of having a password. But that's it's in a relatively secure place, but you can never guarantee these things. So just an observation. And I think I'm relatively literate and capable when it comes to using media. Sometimes I kind of put so much trust into it that I don't really ask the right kind of questions, and I think that many people are the same. However, I'm also quite kind of device tech savvy, if you like. I've used devices for many years, and I've taken sorry, he's really going on there, so I don't know if you can hear him, and the sirens are blaring away today as well. So kind of welcome to Leicester. This is not the quiet contemplative conversation that I wanted to have about this, but anyway. So it was kind of interesting to see to map through that journey of where the intersection points are about how data is used, and in terms of how it tracks you. And I'm sure that when I was walking through the town centre, the CCTV cameras were picking up on who I am and who I was, how that is related back to various databases, the digital technology, the AI to detect facial recognition and parts of the face is well established now. It's built into most of the security devices on a lot of our smartphones. And it's been in place for things like Photoshop, so when you post photos on social media, it can recognise who your friends are in the photo and you can tag them, those kind of things. So there's layers upon layers of this kind of stuff, and we just need to be somewhat aware of it and how it actually operates in practice. And it's given me a lot of ideas of how we're going to follow this on, and the kind of conversations that we need to have about what the ethics of this is, and what the kind of social responsibility that we need to exercise, and what our socially democratic input into this process is, who's making decisions about this on our behalf. There's not really anybody that I can turn to and ask, how are you using my data, other than the Data Information Commission. And then it's set in statute, but I can't go to any individual organisation and say, I can make a request, a data information access request, but I don't know about it. I've never done that before, and I don't know what my rights are in this area, and I'm sure most people don't. So that's the kind of stuff that maybe, if we start to analyse it and start to look at it in future work, we might be surprised at the way our data is used on a day-to-day basis. We are probably not thinking and contemplating about these things. We kind of tend to view our experience as our experience, and we're not really looking at where the layers of augmented reality or augmented data are that are now part of our normal urban experience. Anyway, I think I might go for a chat with that guy over there. I'm not going to go for a chat with that guy over there. So I might go in for a wander around the town centre. And if I get any more thoughts about this, I'll try and do another update. And you'll be hearing from the other community reporters involved in the project as well. Just go to, if you want to follow us, it's leicesterstories.uk. And on Twitter, Instagram, it's at Lec Stories, Leic Stories, and we're on Facebook as well. Search for Leicester Stories, you'll get there. Okay, so next time, speak to you soon.